have the intro mixed into the show as well.
Oh, like I do it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good idea. It makes it easier to cut, won't it?
Right. But
We've done that in the past. It's been a while though, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a long while.
What a cool cup you've got.
Thank you. I got this.
Fancy.
My Korean buddy, when he came to visit, he brought us a couple of these cups.
It's a super fancy cup.
Yeah. But let's see. Okay, so the chat is up. So we'll try and.
Hey everyone.
Yeah. Get some people going in the old chatteroony.
Also, we can make some kind of announcement on our YouTube page. Go away.
Oh yeah, that's actually a great idea.
Can you do that?
Yeah. We'll probably get 18 copyright strikes for doing it.
What? Just for talking?
Just for talking. Let's see here.
God, just looking at this makes you want to cry.
I always forget how to.
I've never known how to make those little announcements. I see other people doing it.
Yeah, I've done it before. I always just forget how. It's probably in the old here.
And they've got these the betas and the non-betas all mixed together. I just can't tell what's happening half the time.
Yeah.
I hate the new. I have to always go back to the original thing to find out what I'm doing. That stream thing, I probably set up the wrong. I don't know. Does YouTube get mad if you advertise Twitch?
Well, I'm not going to put a link. And so. I'm a little concerned that we have not gotten any chat action. Oh, there we go. Midgard73. Hello, hello.
I'm Midgard. Thanks for coming to our back end route, our back end streaming solution. I'm gonna hit this thing. Oh, it's Edwin.
Oh, hey, Edwin.
I like that Midgard.
Yeah, man.
Because you know Midgard is Earth. All right. You got Asgard, you got Midgard. Thor is very fond of Midgard.
What about Midgard implies that there's like a lower guard.
Well, there you go.
Like they'll lower the guard on Frank Bruno's boxing.
Don't worry, Pixel. We'll I've already talked to a representative, and we should be back in action the next day or two, I'd say. I wouldn't worry. We got no copyright strike. There's nothing. It's not that big a deal. They're just idiots.
All right.
I like the phrase over officious. How about that?
Does that have to do with Midgard as well?
No, that's like, you know, like you've got your refs, the officials, they're officiating. These guys are over officious.
Yeah.
I've only gotten to break that one out a few times. I badmouthed the guy one time at work. He was my second in command when I was at the test cell at Lexmark at IBM. And he was being a real jerk one day. And he's like, he said something to me and I was pissed off. I was like, you know what? I think you're being an over officious jerk.
Oh.
And he looked at me for a second trying to understand what that meant, but he understood jerk. That was great.
Did he report you to HR?
Oh, no. We actually we had a shouting match. They separated us.
Wow.
And it was like 4 a.m.
Oh, my gosh.
And the next day, everyone in the whole joint was waiting for us to go to war.
Right.
Seriously. And we were all in line in the halls. And I came in, and he was on the other side of the hall, and we ran up to each other. And then we shook hands and laughed and went to work. Because you can't fight with a guy you work with for 36 straight hours or whatever.
It's kind of like you and your buddy, right?
Yeah.
Your work now. Sometimes you almost come to blows, but then you work things out.
The wheel result was the Jupiter Ace.
Wow.
That's an added bonus kick in the pants. Hey, can you grab me another cup?
Well, I'm going to just get you a different cup altogether. Those cups are...
I'm just going to put this in another cup.
I'm going to get you a real cup.
I didn't realize these cups were
they're
jacked
not good.
up.
I think those are from our wedding.
Really? Congratulations, man. Yeah. So it was the goose at YouTube. You know that clip, that repetitive 2-minute clip of Bill and Ted that we were showing when we were talking about the movie, and it went through probably 4 times. But on that magical 4th time, that's when YouTube swung in action, and our mute, graphic over clip was enough to get us in trouble. So, much like Octavia, if I had long hair, I'd put one of those things in right now myself. I'd cut an Octavia style video because I was pretty upset. I'm not happy, frankly, to be honest with you, but I'm sucking it up. It was more like it was a band hammer-ish. It was like a bam. It was like a mallet. Well, yeah, but you know, Ghostbusters was good to go. There was no problem. You know, a human didn't do this. This is some kind of algorithm. I talked to a rep over there. I live chatted with the guy, and I'm hoping within the next hour or so, or next day or so, this will all be resolved, so we can get back to. Yeah. No, see, I'm glad you agree with me on that. So it's a bummer because we had a good time, and Brent's game was actually fascinatingly crappy. So, you know, there you go. Yeah, no kidding. Like, because this is why, like, I can understand with music to a certain degree, but I mean, this is conceivably, we could be banned from live streaming for 90 days.
Right.
That puts us in the next year.
Yeah.
And
we have some big events coming up.
That's
the
right.
Thanks for Giving Marathon.
Well, no, we also got Computer Club.
Computer Club.
Plus, we stream everything all the time.
Yeah.
I made this abundantly clear in the chat. I mean, I'm sure this guy doesn't care about this little channel, but he was a nice guy. I could tell he was working hard, and I'm hoping. And I will say something I didn't know, and I'm sure you people who are smarter than me know this. Don't delete the offending video, because that's apparently the only way you can link into an appeal. And so when I did that, it's funny because I downloaded it first and then I deleted it. And then I was like, well, that's because we didn't know we were in trouble at that point. And then when we found out the trouble, it said whatever it's like, don't delete the video. And I was like, oh, well, now you tell me. Why didn't you tell me that earlier? You know, why would you let me delete it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there you go. So anyway, we should be okay. But yeah, I apologize for my own idiocy. I feel like a total jackass for that. That's the way it goes. So anyway, we'll have ARG will be up probably later in the day once I get a chance to go home and do some choice editing of the item. Yeah, we haven't done Twitch Boat since we used to do it, but maybe we'll start giving it another look, Boat?
Yeah.
I wonder if they're as anal as YouTube is about that sort of thing.
Well, I think Twitch has a lot of community, quality of life things that could be neat. I don't know, you folks out there, if anybody in the chat is, who is 8-Bit Mix? Do you know?
No.
Oh, I thought it might have been somebody that we know on the...
Oh, it's Ravi.
Is it Oh, okay.
You should know now, eh?
I thought it was Ravi, but I wanted to make sure. What do you think about streaming on Twitch versus YouTube, Ravi, in terms of audience response? Or Pixels, anybody. You guys all have experience streaming.
I know what I think. I think we should just do public access. That'd be easy.
UHF?
Yeah, you know, which, I mean,
remember your pilot where you told me you had plans for a pirate radio station when you moved into your house?
I ran a pirate radio station up on Mud Mountain, and it was, and you could pick it up. You could actually pick it up when the interstation went by.
Yeah.
But it was, I mean, FCC? They have strict power issues. Like, you can't go over a certain power of your station, and they will come and kill you if you do that. And so what you can do is you can sort of cheat. You can crank it up to the total max power you can output, and then after that it comes into like antenna positioning and stuff. And on the mountain, I could get a good position for the antenna, and at that point it's depending on like what's in front. Like, people behind me could not hear anything because there was a mountain, but everyone that way could hear a pretty good distance. In Hurricane, I'm in a pretty good spot.
You're way up high on a hill.
Yeah, I never bothered to put my antenna up, and because the pirate radio thing sort of, it seems pointless now with streaming internet.
Yeah, it does.
And so, it's cute. It's a throwback. I'm not saying I won't ever do it. I've still got my transmitter, but I haven't done it.
Do you know, Ravi, if you become a big Twitch player, you're only allowed to stream on Twitch, but can you archive episodes on YouTube? London's still full of pirates.
In a city, it's different.
Yeah.
But like for me to broadcast in Hurricane, it seems, I mean, there's no one here that would care. And on Mud Mountain, it was, people would go by so fast, it was sort of pointless.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, it is what it is. In a city, I could absolutely see you doing it. It'd make a lot more sense. You've got all that concentration of people within a mile, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I could pick Without with my antenna just laid out, one time I picked up a signal from my house and I was in front of the high school. It was not great, but I could hear it.
Yeah, actually, Restream.io, YouTube is clamping down on using that. I'd accidentally left a link up or something from Restream, and it didn't let me monetize the video. So they really want you to pick one or the other. But yeah, if you could ask Neil about that, Ravi, because I wouldn't mind streaming on Twitch and then archiving on YouTube.
Didn't we do both? Can you not? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, and you could do that for a time, but now YouTube is not letting you monetize when it detects that you've done that.
Wonder why? Why do they care?
They want you to pick a place, I guess.
Why?
Pick a place.
It's so stupid. They've got more money than God.
I know.
What do they care about what you're streaming?
I don't know.
Because if you think about it, YouTube, such as it is, it's built on the backs of every small and medium-sized content provider to show all those ads. That's all. It's not like they're paying the people anything.
Right.
No one makes any money off YouTube, you know?
Yeah.
And so they're raking all that money in, plus they're Google, enough said.
Right.
Now they care that we don't want you broadcast on Twitch, and go, why? Stupid.
Yeah.
You could do it. You could absolutely do it.
Yeah.
But it would take some baloney.
Yeah.
Like a couple computers, you know what I'm saying? We could feed
we'd have to have we'd have to have a pretty big pipe, as they say in the business.
That's the key.
Yeah.
And our pipe is rusty.
Yep.
It's horrible.
And it's
got
also
holes.
it's lined with lead.
Yeah. And we're drinking right from the same pipe.
Yeah.
That's good drinking. What do you got on the agenda this week? We got anything of any interest? The usual shtick.
Yeah. So we'll do. Let me get my windows up. And we'll do a quick test.
Have you checked out the Octavius and her? I know you probably saw it on the Discord.
I saw all of the reaction and none of the actual content.
I actually watched. Oh, you watched her reaction?
No. I just watched all the comments on YouTube, and there are people that are editing that guy's Wikipedia page and calling him all kinds of nasty names.
The Horace guy. You know, the funny thing about it is, Horace, if you look at him, he's just sort of an amorphous.
Yeah.
Blob guy. We all know about him.
Right.
But what's happened is these guys have went through and picked up a bunch of these old copyrights, and they're doing their crap. You know, I don't know what in the UK what the limit on, like, when is the copyright limit?
Well, I guarantee you that it's shorter than the 1980s.
But I'm saying we're coming up on 40 years since that guy. It was 82, so 37, 38 years of this guy. I don't know what. You know, what are we doing here? We're going to enforce copyrights on an amorphous blob that occasionally shows up in this chick's videos. I mean, what are we doing?
Yeah.
How is this affecting that guy? Or that's not a guy. You know what I mean?
Right. I don't think that her videos are preventing him from doing what he would like and making money off the property itself. I think that's clear.
I told Brent, I was like, man, we need to make up some Yeti shirts. Maybe we can get hold of the Yeti guy, you know. You
could own the copyright to Yeti and then take down all the Yeti videos that are on YouTube.
Well, my point is, see, now it's like stuff like, I mean, listen, that's as obscure as it gets. He's way more obscure than Horace, okay?
Yeah.
It's an obscure character on an obscure foreign computer, okay? But everything is in play. Everything. Is in play, and it makes it. I mean, they're sort of sucking the fun out of things. That's for sure. You know,
Hobo T-shirts.
He's another one. That chick Octavius said, I don't follow her channel, but I've seen some of her stuff, and she's goofy, and she's got some problems. But she's also, I can guarantee you, in the video she released yesterday, she's working. She's got to. This is her life.
Yeah.
She comes out and she looks like she just walked straight out of the mental hospital. She's hair is all jacked up, and she cuts that video. But she's doing what she's got to do. I can understand her. She said she's making a bunch of her livelihood is off of Patreon. And she just took down her whole library. I mean, that's brutal, man.
Well, I mean, but nobody forced her to take down her whole library.
Well, yeah, but but the problem is Horace is in her opening.
Right. I mean, I understand what you're saying.
So I mean, she did it because she's afraid she could get in trouble.
At some point, if we're being honest, the pendulum shifts to, this is a sucky thing that happened to me, to I'm going to exploit this sucky thing that happened to me to play the victim and get even more followers.
But she is the victim, though.
Sure, absolutely. Nobody's denying that.
I don't know.
But I wonder if she did the same thing that you did, which instead of going to social media to complain, you contacted YouTube and talked to a guy and got the situation resolved.
One would assume. Well, it's not resolved yet.
Right.
The thing is, she got 2 quick copyright strikes. Legit, like we didn't get any copyright strikes, and so that's legitimately you're screwed. If you look, I looked at what those meant.
Yeah, it's death. It's death as a channel.
If you're, and also we're not existing solely based on income from this show.
No,
that would be. Although there have been times in my life where I made less than what I made, but my point is, I can understand why she's freaked out. Plus, if you look through her videos, I mean, she does have some. She's got a bunch of like mental issues, all right, all that. So that's not going to help. Right?
Sure.
But will she get more action out of this? Absolutely, if she can get her step back up. But the thought, I mean, I was thinking about our opening. Like we got, remember, I don't know, if our old opening had like James Pond clips and some other stuff. If let's say the James Pond guy came in and laid the smack down, right? We'd have to go through it effectively, re-edit every episode of this show.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And
that's
that
the
would
risk.
be brutal.
That's the risk you take.
Now we're a podcast first and foremost, so we wouldn't be crippled. But it'd be a huge hassle, and when they make this stuff such a hassle, it starts to be not fun, and that's what we're doing. It's for fun,
right?
When they make it not fun, when I get like I usually come over here, I'm happy, joyous, because now I'm pissed off, I'm aggravated, and it's going to affect the way I perform today, such as it was.
You got to channel that rage. That's what I do every week.
Because Octavia, if you listen to her, Octavia is a character, and she freely admits, this is my character. We're not characters. This is us.
Yeah.
There's not like Amigo Aaron the character.
Right.
It's the same guy.
Yeah. If you run into us, this is how we are.
If I'm mad and I come on here, then Amigo Aaron's mad. It's the same guy. It irks me. It's very introspective week, and it's been a spotlight week to show what can happen when just the smallest little thing goes wrong. It's irritating, and it drains the fun. It drains away the fun for me. I'll get over it, but it does piss me off.
Yeah, and like Pixels was saying, I think that it's admirable the way that the retro community has sort of supported her because, part of having mental health issues, I know someone that's gone through that sort of thing is feeling like you're all alone and you don't have anybody you can count on, and everybody seems to be very supportive on Twitter, and that's always useful. All right, man.
You got to have Twitter behind you.
You
don't want to piss them off.
If you don't have Twitter behind you, who do you have?
God, I don't want them behind me or in front of me.
You don't use Twitter.
No, I've tried, but I swear to you, I've tried. I told myself a couple weeks ago, now it's time for my ascension on Twitter, and I just I don't get the Twitter. I don't get it. I don't even understand how it works exactly. I just don't. And I'm not stupid, but the interface, I don't like it. It's weird, man. And I'm like, do people want to know what I had for lunch? They want to know that I just took a hard drive out of a computer. They really care about this. Is this where we're at? Is someone going to follow me to read this information? I just can't fathom it. I guess some people do.
That's not what you don't have to use Twitter in that way.
I know, Bode. I know. It's just I don't know. It's funny when it happens to you, and it happened to me. And what's happened is that it's the old guy thing.
It's happened to me before too.
No, it's the old guy thing. It's just like.
I'm not even sure what we're talking about anymore.
Twitter is just a technology that is I mean, I remember when it came out.
Yeah.
I said, this looks dumb. I didn't care.
That's usually your reaction when anything new comes out.
And then a few years later, like it blew up, right? Just like Facebook, exact same thing.
Right.
And so Facebook I adapted to, but it's not. I don't use it that much. Clearly, you don't use it that much because our Facebook pages. I mean, I know you put some stuff on there. I use Google Plus a lot more because Google Plus I can understand better.
Yeah.
But also, Facebook pisses me off because every time I get on there, I have to look at all my people that I've got on following. I'm like, these people are all morons, and I know them. That makes it worse.
Right.
Twitter's very similar. It's like, these are idiots. Why don't I even know? I don't want to know your inner thoughts. I would have run screaming from those.
Okay, so we are going to, people in the chat, prepare yourself because we are going to have the theme to Amigos mixed in to the show. So just be ready. Be ready for Ross.
Can I talk while we're doing it?
Yeah, because we won't be on the scene, but no one will hear you.
So it's just because me and Britt dance around.
Yeah. You can feel free to dance around as much as you want.
I'll do it now. Woo.
All right, so here we go. In 5, 4, 3, 2. Support the Amigos podcast on Patreon or PayPal and receive cool perks and rad swag. Visit our page at everythingamiga.com/support.
Amiga, the first personal computer that gives you a creative edge.
Hi everybody, welcome to Amigos. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today we're going to be talking about Armour Geddon.
Oh, I see what they did there.
Yeah. Now Aaron, this is a game where you pilot various pieces of heavy machinery.
That's true.
I'd like to know your experience with piloting anything beyond a car.
Well, let's see here. When I worked at the IBM, I would occasionally illegally drive around the forklift truck. Those are pretty fun. You ever drove a forklift?
I have.
And
now I drove a small one, and this one controlled very interestingly. There was a disc with a handle.
That's it. That's the same way I did. Yeah. And so you these things, they pilot like a shopping cart or something. Real bizarre. And I just went to a big empty spot at IBM because this is when they were shutting it down. They cleared everything out. What are they gonna do? Fire me? I was already getting laid off. So I'm gonna try one of these suckers out. They got a fun one that was charged up and just drove it around in the empty area, and it was cool.
Did you consider a career transition at that point?
Oh God, no, because I almost wrecked 20 times. I never would do that professionally. Plus, I've seen all these fail videos where dudes dump over like big stacks of crap, run. And you could kill a guy.
You can get in trouble real quick with a forklift.
Our forklift routes were like Indianapolis 500. They were fast, and I mean people would get hit, stuff would get dropped on them all the time. So no, I would not want that. I wouldn't be responsible for that sort of thing. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I've ever piloted that would be considered heavy machinery. I think that's pretty much the biggest thing I've ever drove. I mean, I've been in helicopters, but I wouldn't drive. What about you?
When I got married in Thailand, my wife lives in a rural area, and she got a. They needed to clear some space to bring in the speakers and things for the wedding, because the wedding's this big party. It lasts 3 days.
Wow.
So what they did was they called up the mayor. And the mayor drove his backhoe down the road to clear a path through the jungle that separates each property from the main road to make way for this stuff. So I when no one was looking, I got into the backhoe / I don't know what you call the thing on the front, the earth mover.
Yeah.
I pretended.
Scoop?
Yeah, the scoop. I pretended to drive it.
So you didn't actually take it anywhere?
No, but I made motor sounds with my mouth.
Oh my God, what a geek. This was at your wedding?
This was at my wedding.
I don't know. I like every part of that story. Number one, you get the mayor that shows up with his machine. That's great. I like the mayor's just a dude.
That's right.
And then I like the fact that to get to each property, they had to cut through the jungle with the mayor. So because I picture the mayor in like a sash,
like the Monopoly
with like a
guy,
top hat, and he's driving a backhoe through the jungle.
Right.
That's
exactly how it was.
Every part of that's the best thing I ever heard.
And then when we had our wedding parade, he was standing in the back of the parade with me firing a gun into the air.
Oh, what? You had a wedding parade?
Oh, man. When in Thailand, when you get married in the countryside, usually the groom's family parades from their house to the bride's house.
Yeah.
Well, of course, I'm not from Thailand. So we went to random guy's house, and random guy became my family. And so I'm dancing down the street, with the umbrella. There's a guy holding an umbrella over my head. And then in the back, the mayor's just firing a 45 into the air.
It seems like some marriages, instead of having that sort of parade, they have what's like a dirge.
This is the end.
People dressed in black. And the people, they wouldn't allow a guy to have a gun because he'd probably put it in his own head. Those are your bad marriages. So, yeah. That sounds awesome. Marriage parade, road to the jungle. Thailand weddings must rule. I'd say. That sounds great. I'm sure the meal and stuff were outstanding too.
Oh man, yeah. I'll tell you this: the party didn't stop all through the night until 4 or 5 in the morning. It was just totally. It was Thai disco all night. You would have loved it. You would have loved it.
Thai disco. Do they like some of the same disco songs? Do they have a whole library of Thai specialties?
It sounds just like your common variety disco retro song, except it's sung in Thai.
Very good. I could get down with that. Disco is the universal language.
It is. It speaks to all.
I love it. Now, this. How many years? You've been married for how long now?
We've been married since 2011, so it'll be going on 8 years
now,
this year.
At some point, like say your 25th wedding, is there some kind of, do they read, is there a special, like you've been together for 20 years, super parade or anything that goes on?
Oh man, maybe that we could create one of those.
Because we should. Can you imagine trying that stuff in Hurricane?
No.
You get the mayor to come up, and we know our mayor. I know him, and with a gun and walk down the street shooting up in the air with a parade full of
the
people.
gun part we could easily pull off.
People would think it'd be like Armageddon, or something was going on.
Do you think it would be like Armour Geddon?
Oh, it all came back together.
That's right.
Amazing.
Let's talk about what's been going on over at everythingamiga.com this week, Aaron. What's Dreamcatcher been up to?
The Dreamcatcher, he focused on the game based on a movie that's pure, solid, 100% garbage. Sylvester Stallone's Cobra.
Would you say
Cobra!
Of all the early 80s or mid 80s action movies, you got your Cobra, you got your Commando, you got your Rambo.
Yeah.
Is Cobra the dirt worst?
Well, you've got those C and D level ones that are real bad. So Cobra's not the dirt worst. Plus, it's got Sly in it, so you know he's good. He's a grungy, like 2-day-old beard, glasses wearing, grease ball type with a gun. I mean, did you ever see Cobra?
Oh gosh, no, it's too violent.
Well, it's dumb 80s sort of violence. It's a dumb film. And so when you've got a dumb film like that, some sucker's going to buy the license before the film's released and then make an equally dumb game. That's what's happened. One thing I like about, like, Ocean's the prime example of this, where they'll buy these licenses. They'll license these games before the movie comes out. Sometimes it works with your RoboCops. They get a big hit. And then sometimes it's absolute dreck. And Cobra, which is a movie that also bombed, if you remember that, it famously bombed.
Oh. And this was after Rambo, right?
Yeah. This is after Rambo. But I mean, it's one of those movies that mixes in with other movies. It's just so sort of generically stupid. So I don't remember a whole lot about it. I saw it years ago. But it was, Culver's a super cool military cool guy. It's the usual crap. But the game I've not played, but it looks pretty bad. So there you go. But DK does his usual deep dive.
Oh yeah.
But when Cobra, that's a great name for a cool guy, cool gun-toting guy.
Oh yeah.
And he had the cool car, and so I remember the previews for it more than I do the film itself, to be honest with you. But I remember he's got that beard that looks like you could take his head and like sand down wood with his face. It's that kind of beard there. Woo, look at her.
Yeah.
So there were some good things back in the 80s, but there you go. So yeah, DK at it again. He's the movie game freaking master, in my opinion.
Well, Aaron, it's time. I hear the train a-coming. It's coming round the bend. It's the gamble train, Aaron.
God.
It's here to deliver the latest and greatest Amiga news right to your door, Aaron. I've scoured the internet this week, totally scoured the internet for the best stories, and we're going to start things off with this video from Amiga 34. So this is from the Radio Parallax channel.
This was a huge event, bud.
Yeah. This was way, way bigger than anything that I've been to before in terms of the retro scene.
In attendance and stuff?
Yeah.
This is bigger than Curly Fries. Massive turnout.
Right. If you want a quick recap on the event, this thing is only 10 minutes long. You can check it out. I watched this, and it's a pretty good overview of all the different demos and things that were there. And so definitely check this out. The name of the video is Amiga 34 Germany and Mouse.
Mr. Pleasant's in the house.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our good buddy. I don't know how much did you watch. Did you hear all the news that went down at this thing? You've got people showing off the Morpho OS, the new OS. You've got people that you've got Cloanto, Hyperion there. They're trying to bury the hatchet.
Right.
I don't know if you watched. You may have this link there, Steven's video.
We're going to talk about it a little bit later.
We'll get into that in a minute. Yep. You had all sorts of different types of hardware. I mean, if there's ever been an event that said the Amiga's back and it's ready to rock and roll, this was it. A big rock star style event. I've told the Germans to put this together. Did like a top shelf job, organizational masters.
Right.
And everything about this was top shelf. This would have been fun to go to. I have to say, I looked at this and I cried a little. It's so good.
Yeah. And
it's so glorious to see this sort of event.
if you are a podcast subscriber, you can check out. I actually called Ravi from the show floor and talked to him for about 10 or 15 minutes just about what he saw. So if you want a kind of a bird's eye view, or I guess a ground level view, I don't think Ravi was flying around, but you can check out. And this was all the things before the main day on Sunday. This was all the things that he saw on the main floor. Aaron, I thought you'd enjoy this. The Arcade Attack podcast this week is back with an interview with the one and only Hank Nyborg.
Yes, it's funny, I tried to befriend Mr. Nyborg to talk to him, and he's never answered my request because I'm small potatoes.
He's not returning your calls.
But he must know that I am his biggest, most fervent fan. I love it's the man, the genius behind Lionheart.
Yeah.
The art specialist.
Yeah. So if you're at all interested in his creative process, of course he went on to work on several games after Lionheart, but Lionheart is generally considered his greatest achievement as a creative artist.
But he's very, very, very well respected in the computer art community. I mean, he's like one of the top guys.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's tremendous. You ever listen to Arcade Attack?
I've not heard the show.
I've got them on my list. I pull down so I haven't heard this one yet. Though. I can't wait to hear it.
Cool.
I'm a big fan of the Norberg.
One of the guys that I met over in Ireland last year, his name is Tomas, and he's from Poland, and he's one of the guys behind K&A Plus.
Oh yeah,
K&A Plus is a Polish magazine that talks about the Commodore and the Amiga, and it is by far the best produced magazine I've ever seen in terms of the paper quality, in terms of the layout. They produce a Polish version, and then it is translated by volunteers and produced in an English version. The newest version was just released, number 14. They are currently working on the English translation, but you can follow these guys on Twitter. Comoda, I don't know how you say it. It's spelled weirdly.
Comoda.
That's like a dragon, right?
That's Komodo.
But you can follow these guys on Twitter, KA Plus Magazine, to get up to date with that. They sell these things. They got to sell them below cost. For the quality of this magazine, they're super great.
These, yeah. They're gold, and the translations are pretty solid.
Absolutely.
I remember there was a couple of niggles in there, but for the most part, it's good. I mean, it's not like you're going to be like, oh, I can't read it. It's totally fine. Good stuff, actually.
Yeah.
And it is silky smooth, nice pages. All looks good.
Now, this is not directly related to the Amiga, but it sort of is.
Yeah.
Aaron, Team Batman is back. The Batman group.
Man. I bet fell out of my chair when I saw this. I know exactly what you got
here.
So,
they've recently made headlines all around the retro world with their stellar port of the Amiga title Pinball Dreams to the CPC.
Oh man,
they're doing it again, Aaron. They are attempting to create. Actually, this is less a port than almost a brand new game, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
This is their version of a game, sort of like Lotus,
inspired
by Lotus for the CPC, and this thing looks freaking amazing.
This looks straight off like a PlayStation or something. It's unbelievable. When I saw this footage, and I believe these guys, if anyone else puts this footage out, I'm like, I'm not buying it.
Right.
When these guys put it out, this is outstanding. I mean, you're right up there in terms graphically. You haven't played it, but I mean, graphically, this is up there with anything you would have seen on the 16 bits.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a top shelf looking piece of work. I don't know when they plan on releasing this, but clearly it's well into the development because it is impressive. Me and Brent, I did a little research on that group and watched some of their demos because me and Brent were working on an ARG with them, with Pinball Dreams, and they're quite an interesting bunch. They've done some remarkable stuff. They're a pretty big group too. I mean, these guys have the tools and the talent.
Yeah.
I can tell you. Have you played the Pinball Dreams on the Amstrad yet?
Man, I've been dying to download an emulator and try it.
I mean, obviously we don't have an Amstrad, but I did play it for the show, and I can tell you, just to give them their nod, this is an unbelievable rendition of the game. The ball physics and stuff are top shelf. It's just a top shelf effort. Something no one probably could have ever imagined that you could have done with an Amstrad. Now, me and you don't know much about the Amstrad.
No.
But I can tell you, this would have blown any 8-bit out of the water. It was stunning.
Yeah, no contest.
And so if
no
if the video that they've released here with this unknown car game comes to fruition, this is going to be the high watermark for all 8-bits. I mean, across the board in terms of graphics and and the way motion is done and stuff. It was unbelievable. So I can't wait to see that. I also like the use of the word code porn.
It is.
You got to get that in.
It's very
there.
evocative.
Yeah.
So anyway, like I said, not directly Amiga related, but if you are in the Amiga scene, you're going to be tangentially interested in watching this come to fruition.
And these guys have done a lot of demos on the Amiga, so it's not like the Amiga is one of their top platforms. We need to get them over to us.
Right. And finally, Aaron, I just wanted to give a shout out to our boy Neil over at Indie Retro News. He's celebrating the 7th anniversary of Indie Retro News, 13.8 million views.
Yeah, it's very impressive. Of course, listen, when you get the job done, people show up.
Yeah.
And Indie Retro News is the place people go for news on your retro systems, and they always release it quick. It's always out there, and it's always solid. So yeah, I mean, you get good things happen to people that do a good job.
Yeah.
So
congrats to Neil.
I've talked to Neil a few times, and he's a decent guy, and he was actually, I think he was in our chat last week too. So which was nice. He came to pay us a visit. So he puts out a good quality page. There's no doubt.
Yeah. And the last bit of Amiga news this week related to the one and only Gamble Train itself. If you go on over to AmigaTees.com, Aaron, I'm proud to announce the official Gamble Train 3000 t-shirt is now available.
Oh, Lord.
So I've ordered myself one of these.
Good luck explaining this to whoever sees you in it.
I've also ordered one of these for you, Aaron, to wear with pride.
Oh, no.
You can wear the Gamble Train around town, and when people look at you and wonder, just know that it's more of an aw.
It's more like an he's got problems. Look what he wore. Poor guy.
No, absolutely not. The Gamble Train t-shirt is ready for action.
Oh my God.
Support the Amigos podcast.
And this is, I'm an arcade nut, and I saw this announced on Indie, and they are beginning work on an Amiga version of Kung Fu, what's that called?
Kung Fu Master.
Kung Fu Master, yes. I love that game in the arcade. And so I'm excited for a good quality Amiga version to go with the Rygar.
Yeah.
I think that'll be an awesome, and that's a fun game that not too many people talk about anymore.
Yeah.
Did you like that one?
I remember you telling me last week Rygar was incredibly difficult. I've yet to play the arcade version. I'll have to give it a whirl on the arcade machine.
What about Kung Fu Master?
I played Kung Fu Master.
I know.
Come on, man.
Is it one of the ones on your wall?
Yeah, I've got it right there on got the box version.
Also, it's got that's the song. That's all you need.
Yeah,
that's all you need.
And that interspersed with
yeah, good stuff. So I'm excited about that. I'm glad Amiga development's picking up.
Yeah,
and I suspect after 34 that just wound up. Just to touch back on that for a minute. This is the biggest Amiga event that I can remember for quite a while. And I don't just mean in terms of people showing up, just in terms of people that were developing stuff, people releasing projects they're doing, and people, showing up to hear these various talks, and a lot of goodwill. And so I'm hoping that we can build off this going forwards, because this was the event that might usher in a new era.
Right.
It seems like maybe the new era is here. It's crazy when we started doing this a while back. If you just said, and I don't know how long we've been doing this, 5 or 6 years, that if you told me that there'd be a huge event with tons of new hardware coming out, I'd have been like, "You're nuts!
Right?
Are you nuts?" And so it shows you how things can change like that.
Yeah.
It's that quick.
Yeah. Aaron, it's time to talk about this week's game of the week.
Oh man,
let's talk Armour Geddon.
I'm guessing you not played this before, Boaster.
No, no. This was my first go round.
I will say, and you'll be shocked to know this after you hear what I have to say about this game, but I bought this game years and years ago in a store.
Was that you
copy.
You bought for the Amiga?
For the Amiga, absolutely. Wow. Yeah, of course. Are you kidding? So I was there all the way back. Well, it was actually several years after this when I bought it, but it was this came out or debuted in '91. Now, Bo, get this. This is kind of interesting. This was actually published and developed by Psygnosis. This is one of the games that Psygnosis actually developed. They didn't develop a ton of games. They did, and it's funny because I've heard of a couple of these, but I never heard of this one. Aqua Ventura was one. You ever heard of that one?
No.
Barbarian.
Heard of that.
Infestation. Terror Pods, which that's another one you heard. And I think they also did Armour Geddon 2, but I'm not 100% sure on that one.
Okay.
And so they didn't develop a ton of their own games in house. They were mostly a publisher. Now, the coder on this was a guy named Ed Scio. S-C-I-O. Is that right? Scio. Mm-hmm. Looking over his, he was the coder and artist. He did a couple things we looked at it, but the one that comes out of my mind was Amiga Soccer, which I played that, and he also did international soccer. He did lots of soccer games. The other coder was a guy named Paul Hunter. He pretty much did about the same amount of stuff. These guys worked on a lot of the same games together. The painting on the front of the box, and also that's sort of digitized in the game, was done by a fellow named Ian Naylor, which I've heard of him.
Really? So he did that kind of the still shot at the beginning.
Yeah.
There. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that the box art's the same as that. I think they sort of digitized it or whatever in there. This ran on the ECS OCS and was converted over to the conversion list is unknown, so there's no one knows for sure. So it was either converted to or converted from the Atari ST. You've also got the PC version of this game, which I actually had a look at the PC version of this just briefly, just loaded it up. And guess what? I sucked at that one too, I might add. So what is Armour Geddon? Now this has a crazy backstory that plays into the movie. Now you watch that movie at the beginning of this. Do you want to describe the movie to everybody?
So the movie starts with it's sort of Star Wars-esque, where you have a big ship flying across, and then there's a pod that breaks off it and goes down to the planet.
Right.
That's basically the movie.
So here's what this means. Because I saw this for years, and I was like, what is this? Mm-hmm. And I swear to you, Bode, I swear to you, I think they just had a cool demo. They just strapped it to the front of this game.
It's got nothing to do with the game.
So here's the plot. Did you read any of the docs on this? I'm assuming you read the technical docs, but not the flavor text.
I read some of the flavor text, but I can use a refresher.
Okay. A power-crazed entity is developing a devastating energy beam to wipe out all unprotected life on Earth. This is on the back of the box. That's not really true. So let me tell you the exact plot of this thing. There was a huge war, okay? And people that had the jack were sheltered. They got in shelters before the war went down, and they left everyone else to get screwed.
Right. This is your typical plot for post-apocalyptic.
Well, here's the non-typical part. So what's happened is all the people that were not in the shelters were like, these people in these shelters are jerks.
Right.
Screw them.
Mm-hmm.
And so they get this dormant satellite, and they rig it up to to basically nuke everyone in these dwellings.
Yeah.
Right? You play one of the guys in the dwelling, so you're sort of a jerk. You're sort of one of the privileged few.
Right, and you're waging war against the non-privileged
You're waging
scum.
war against the people that have been living like in Doom World for the past X amount of years. Now, the beginning image, what you've got is that ship comes in, and then a pod comes off of it, and then a missile comes out and shoots and blows up the main ship, right? Mm-hmm. Well, in the docs, it says what this was a test run of the new super weapon. That ship that was coming back was a mining ship that was coming back to Earth. Their miners were tired. They'd been out mining in space mining.
I love it.
And then that thing that popped off the front was like an escape pod that just sort of jettisoned automatically, and no one noticed it, and then they got blown up. Now, that is a weak effort in terms of tying that into the story.
Yes.
So I have the suspicion that was just a cool video. They're like, hey, look at this. I can make this thing go do something. So after this opening, you are thrust into Armour Geddon. Now, this game has some interesting options. The option screen is actually pretty cool. It's got the Armour Geddon logo with it, and various armaments will roll behind it, and it's kind of cool looking.
Yeah. You
can put it on training and regular mode. And you can also, this is one of those games, I've never done this by the way, but you can actually have head-to-head serial connection battles with another human.
Yeah.
I suspect that is where the game would shine the most. Mm-hmm. That seems like it would probably be pretty fun. The actual game itself I would describe this game as a very deep, non-deep game. Does that make any sense? Mm-hmm. You have the ability to of course you're playing the privileged sheltered bunch,
right?
And so you've got to get your people to start building weapons and vehicles for you to use to go out and take out the facility that's going to have your shelter destroyed, right? You have a tons and tons of stuff you can look into. You've got tanks, light tanks, hover cars, helicopters, jets, bombers, all sorts of different refueling possibilities, different sorts of ammo, lasers. You've got all kinds of stuff. Now, when you start the game, you don't start with all this stuff. What you do is you have to research a lot of it. And so you've got a staff of scientists and you've got a staff of like engineers. And one of the aspects of this game is basically going in and having them do the research on the stuff that you want to develop. And then once it's developed, you can use it. All right? You got that so far. So aside from that, so you've got an R&D division, okay? You've got an intelligence division that will let you look at where things are at on a map, and you can zoom in and out. It's pretty nice. So you've got that, and when you actually go into the game, there's this sort of revolving. It looks like something out of Battlestar Galactica.
It does,
doesn't it? It's like a vector.
Yeah. I mean, on the one hand, it looks cool, and on the other hand, it's utterly useless.
I'm guessing at some point there could be a use for it, but for me, I just like, man, that thing's moving fast.
Yeah, you've got to stop it.
I usually slow it down.
Yeah.
I don't even know why. Just like, I don't need this to go that fast. So then what you've got is it's time to go out and do something. Okay, now, again, you can have multiple vehicles, and this game simulates all the vehicles. Then they're all sort of they're all different, but they're all sort of the same. They all sort of control.
They've got the same controls,
setup.
which is a positive.
That is a positive. The negative is you have to have a ream of paper to determine all these keys that you need to memorize, because this thing is heavily keyboard dependent. Don't even think about pirating this thing without having the docs.
Right.
Even I knew that, having owned it. I was like, I didn't even try to play this without looking.
Yeah.
Because you can't even get anywhere.
Right.
Because you have to start the motor, and you have to hit the plus button to fire up the engine.
Yeah.
You have to figure out how to target stuff and how to toggle your weapons. So let's say you take out a jet fighter. You go out and fly around, and the enemy's all over the place, and you engage them. And ultimately, what you want to do is cripple the enemy's ability to get this weapon going, to give your guys enough time to develop the stuff you need,
so you can
to blow up their bomb,
destroy the plebeians.
Yeah, right. Here's the gimmick. Okay, so that's all well and good. Go out, destroy stuff, and we'll get to the actual controls and stuff in a minute. The gimmick this game's got going for it, and this is very unusual, is that you can control up to 6 different vehicles simultaneously.
Right.
And toggle through them. This is quite impressive from a programming standpoint.
I don't know.
There's a lot going on right there.
Because essentially what you do is you pilot your first vehicle, you sort of park it where you want to leave it, then you switch to another
Right,
vehicle.
but I mean, still, you've got them all out there, and you can actually move them. They're not moving without you, okay?
Right.
But, I mean,
they're not. It's not simultaneous control.
It's unusual.
It's unusual. Sure. I'll give you that.
So, before I get into this any further, your initial thoughts and how did you approach the game cold, as it were? Because I had played this one a little bit.
My initial thoughts were, this is cool because, before I even started playing the game, whenever we have games like this, I usually spend an afternoon and just download the docs and read the docs, just so I can get an idea of what I'm doing when I dive right in.
These are pretty good docs.
Yeah,
here.
I knew we were screwed when there were when there were no video explanations or playthroughs of any substance.
There are none. There are some people showing the very, very end, which I had not seen.
So what I actually had to do in order to get a clip of any substance is that what we are watching right now is actually my playthrough of the game. Such as it is. This game is, it's hamstrung by a number of factors. One, even though the docs on the piloting of your craft are pretty good, they give you a page on how to get started. Yeah. And this page is highly light on detail. And I don't know if that's the fault of the person writing the documents or the people that program the game, because I'm quite sure they're not the same person. If they were, I think they would have been written differently.
You think it was a hodgepodge?
Yeah. What you have to do at first is you have to destroy. There are these. I can't remember what the docs call them, but there are these installations just off an airstrip that you have to destroy.
Yeah.
And what the docs tell you to do is they're like, go to the map and click on the airstrip.
Yeah.
Well, the airstrip is like 6 miles long.
Yeah.
And there's no indication whatsoever on where exactly you're supposed to click
that is a yes.
to set your waypoints. Because the idea is that you set your waypoints where you want to engage these targets, and then you go and you blow them up. I was never able to actually find where those targets were on the airstrip because on the overhead map, they don't show you. And that's a real failure. You know, the rotating map at the beginning of the game should have shown you all of the targets that you're supposed to destroy.
It does show incoming targets. I will say that.
Well, it shows you the enemy.
Right.
But the enemy doesn't mean anything. I mean, the enemy
it shows you bogeys that are coming to get you.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to wait around for you.
Here's the other problem with this game. Right out of the gate, they give you no opportunity to become familiar with the controls of your craft. You can start the game, and then 5 seconds later, you are under attack. And if you don't start moving, you're going to get blown up, and you're going to die.
You can, if you're trying to sit there and understand how to start the car, start the plane, whatever, you could get blown up right where you sit without even moving.
Right.
You know, there is no buffer.
Yeah.
The enemy's on you.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, you're a privileged jerk. This is what you deserve.
Oh yeah, I mean this is definitely one of the more unique plots in that you're not playing the typical repressed minority. You're playing the
elite.
Yeah, the elite.
How long did it take you to figure out that you have the key shortcuts setting out before you start even trying this?
What I actually did was this was very similar to Frank Bruno's boxing on the ZX Spectrum, where I used a combination of keyboard commands and joystick controls to maneuver my craft.
This game, it's funny, you end up using the joystick, the mouse, and the keyboard.
Right.
And I had to ask, did you try training mode?
I did, and I could not tell the difference between training mode and the real game.
Training mode pretty much unlocks everything. You don't have to research it.
Okay.
So that's one of the things it does. When I bought this game all those years ago, I wanted some kind of arcade, sort of like an arcade combat.
Like a battle zone to the next level.
That's what I hoped.
Yeah.
And one of the things that the problem I have is the actual combat in this is extremely difficult.
Mm-hmm.
I did manage to find the enemy. I did manage, because again, I'd played this years ago, but I sucked at it. But the enemy is better at shooting, flying, being evasive, shooting you from distance, everything.
Yeah.
And no matter what payload I loaded in, because you can choose the kind of payload, you can have lasers or bullets or missiles or bombs, you can have all kinds of stuff, but the enemy was very tenacious.
Mm-hmm.
And very good at knocking you out of the sky. And so you're going to go through a bunch of vehicles. Now, I read some walkthroughs on this to try to do a better job than I did back in the day, and I did not do any better, to be honest with you, but they did give me some hints as to what you should attack first, what to slow the enemy down with first. But I found the enemies in this to be quite relentless. Mm-hmm. And while the control is okay, it's not... This is one of those jack of all trades, masters of none sort of affairs. Like the simulation of the tank, the hover tank, the helicopter, the plane. It's basically the same screen and it controlled differently. But I mean, the control hotkeys are the same.
Right.
And that is kind of weird.
Well, you have to make sacrifices because you've got to make it not. The real problem comes from the fact that. The aerial-based craft are so difficult to control. Even the helicopter, which in theory should be the easiest to control, you can still crash fairly easily.
Yeah.
It's no good. Because I couldn't figure out exactly what I was supposed to be targeting on the airstrip, I couldn't even, ideally, you'd start the game, you fly to the airstrip, and it should look like Star Fox. So in Star Fox, when there's something that you want to target, it's flashing yellow and blue, and it's like, this is the thing. In this game, you don't get any of that. And so that was very frustrating. This game could have been, I don't want to say it could have been great, because even with this stuff, I don't think it would have been a great game, but it could have been okay if they would have made your objectives easier to ascertain.
The sad truth is, this game's got good graphics. Right, I mean, you could see what's going on. It's for the type of game it is. It looks nice. It runs well. Mm-hmm. But I have to agree with you. The fun factor for me was not there.
Yeah.
If I could be like Game Pro magazine, the fun factor on this is a 2.
Yeah.
It's just it wasn't fun, and the difficulty. it is difficult. I wonder how much of it is just me sucking versus it's just really hard. Because I had the exact same problem when I was younger, and I sucked less then. So I don't know.
This is one of these games that I can tell the people writing reviews on Lemon. This is your classic negative stereotype of a gamer in action, where there's lots of people that are like, this game's way too difficult. And then there will be guys that are like, you guys just suck. I completed this game and I'm the man.
And I read plenty of people that they showed you the formula. Here's how you do it. Well, I mean, I knew the formula, I just couldn't implement the formula.
Yeah.
You know, it was frustrating. There is a cheat mode in this. I don't know if you actually tried it. It gives you unlimited credits.
Yeah, I don't think it would have helped me. I saw that and I did not implement.
No. I don't like these games that have this many. You know, I like my simulators like Wings. Like, I don't want to do anything except fly around and be cool.
Yeah.
I don't want any other. I mean, I'm not a simulation guy, and so I had a heads up. So somebody sent me a note, said, "Listen, we're going to be doing this in a couple weeks. Give yourself some time." And like I said, I was familiar with it, and I knew right away. I was like, "Well, I'm screwed," because having played this for a while, I never got any good at it, and so and that didn't change. So
I would love to see somebody that's good at this game to make a video just showing what to do. I mean, even though we're done with this review, I'd love to just see it, just so I can know, and then I might be more apt to go back to it once I figure out what it is exactly I'm supposed to be doing.
I will say the PC version, this is pretty similar with a cruddy sound. I didn't try the ST version, obviously.
Yeah. The game looks good.
Yeah.
I mean, 91, the game looks good. It runs smoothly.
Good,
yeah, it sounds good. The programming is pretty solid.
Yeah, it did get a sequel, which was called Armour Geddon 2. It was called like Operation Hellfire or something like that. Oh, codename Hellfire. I did not own this one for the obvious reasons. I did look this one. I actually played a little bit of it, and it looks pretty similar, to be completely honest with you. It's funny, when this came out, it was not super well received. I mean, I guess is a good way to put it. So, review-wise, the folks with a lemon, as you mentioned, and I will say before I go over these, the head-to-head might be gangbusters, and I haven't tried that. So that part might be fun. I will say that. So that might be the redeeming quality of this game. And one of these days, put this on the list. Lemon gave it an 8.18. Amiga Action gave it a 91. Amiga Format gave it an 85. Amiga Power gave it an 87. You can see the trend here. CU Amiga gave it an 81. And Amiga Joker 69. They don't screw around over there. No. In Germany. Computer Gaming World gave it 2 out of 5 stars. And the general consensus is sort of like what I said at the beginning. There's something here, but it's not super deep. And what is here is not necessarily super fun.
Yeah.
So
100%.
There you go.
Pure love. Let's talk about what's been going on the Discord as far as our user reviews.
Yeah,
here.
let's see what we got.
Okay.
Here.
Chris Folds says, back in the day, I loved my simulators, and when this came out with its slick intro and for the Amiga Good 3D, I was all over it. Going back to it today, it's slow and difficult affair, and I think newcomers to the game will be instantly put off. But if you can put on your 90s head and work through it, a decent game still remains, though sadly I no longer have the time or patience. 7 out of 10. Free Lunch writes, this is the kind of game you pick over another more frivolous, i.e. fun, title in the store. At which point you run home, boot it up, and try for months to convince yourself you really like it. I've been there, Free Lunch.
He's reading my mind when I bought this. He is putting it. That's exactly what I did.
Yeah. Full disclosure, never played it back then. Couldn't handle more than a few minutes now. Score I would tell others back then so I would feel smart, 10 out of 10. Score that reflects how I really feel down deep in my heart, 2 out of 10.
Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah.
This is one of the first Amiga games I bought, and this is also one of the first Amiga games that I sold. This was gone. And it didn't make the transition into my closet. I mean, it was. I was like, I don't like it.
How did you sell games back in the day?
Oh gosh, who did I sell this to? It was I knew Amiga people, and so I sold it. I may have even lent it to somebody, but wherever it is, I don't got it no more. So it hit the road. Like I said, Patient got lots of time Aaron from the 90s. He didn't like this, and so I knew Impatient Jerk Aaron with no time was not going to be down, and so I was correct, Bode, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not killing it. It does a lot of things that I like, but it's to me, it was just a little bit too tedious and too difficult.
Yeah. Aaron, we got a new Patreon supporter this week.
Oh, spectacular.
Yeah, this is, I think, one of our first guys from the great country of Iceland.
Ooh, neat.
Yeah, his name is Björgvin Knudsen. You want to improve upon that?
Björgvin Gnosnen. I like it.
Yeah. He says, been a huge fan ever since the glorious Jockey Wilson episode.
Yeah.
That was one of the great ones.
I love that one.
Thanks for all the great content and for keeping the Amiga and Spectrum alive. He's also supporting us on our Sinclair as well.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you.
You're a fan from Iceland, Björgvin. So, Aaron, last week I made an attempt to just read our supporter names straight, and you convinced me to read them in a wacky way.
It was wacky.
But I do want to read them straight this week because I just want to make sure, and every once in a while, just honestly thank these guys, and not in a silly song-like way, although that will be returning.
And your voice is damaged.
My voice is it's a little down.
That last
today.
tune you sang, it gutted you to a certain degree.
It's what happened to Henry Nelson.
Is that what it was?
That's what happened. He started singing the Patreon song too often. So, here we go, Aaron. Björgvin Knudsen, Terry Howard, Reflection, Simon Lech, Cap'n Crispy, Kilobytes, and Caffeine, Mike W., Deckard Threepwood, Gary Heather, Free Lunch, Kate Fox, David Pickford, Cameron Armstrong, Andy Jones, Lob Sterminator, Craig McClelland, 10-Minute Amiga Retrocast, Counting Virtual Sheep, Bernard Quinn, Retro Man Cave, Tim Drew, Simon Rose, Joseph Harrison, Kyle Etter, Rob O'Hara, Howard Nibbs, Matthew Larimore, Andy Craig, Shanzo, Darren Lomax, Colin 419, Barkbit, Roland Burke, Andrew Monks, Joe the Zombie, John Cook, Leif Killand. Oh, I'm sorry, Leif Killand.
Get it right.
Yep. Alan Kebab, Checote, Level Lord, John Marshall, Matthew Perron, Ricky DeRocher, Creepy Dead Boy, Figgy, CTZ, The Slow Norris, Stefan Sorgard Mortensen, Edvin Helland, Blendo75, Christopher Hassal, Ravi Abbott, Chris Folds, Dreamcatcher, Laurent Giroux, Graham W. Vebke, Lane Denson, Adam Battersby, O'Brien's Retro and Vintage, Gary Hucker, C. Brian Jones, Paul Bossman Harrington, Duncan Stiles, Tapes from the Crypt, Josh Nan, Adam Bradley, Jonas Rulo, THT, Eric Nelson, Kim Tommy Humbertstad, Daniel Bingston, Brutal Barracuda, Darren Coles, Jason Warrens, Pixels at Dawn, and
Coolborn Barbie.
All right. So, we want to thank all of you for supporting Amigos on Patreon or on PayPal, whichever you'd like.
Thank you.
And next week, Aaron, it's Shooter Week down south. Have you seen those?
Down south?
Yeah.
What's that mean?
Have you seen those? They're on the Greenbrier ads. It's like it's sleepy time down south.
No.
It just makes my
It's
skin
not the
crawl.
South.
Yeah,
We're not the
yeah,
South.
we're not the South. We try and market ourselves, which I don't know.
To be fair, though, it is always sleepy time. They got that part right.
That's true.
It's sleepy time in West Virginia, day and night.
Next week, Aaron, we are going to be playing.
Q Prince dopey music when he tries to figure out what's happening. Keep looking, boat.
No, it's right here. Apocalypse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, have you played this one
No,
before? This
no,
was
I don't know that
picked
one.
by Amigos Game Selection Committee member Graham W. Vebke.
Our good buddy.
Yeah,
Our
yeah.
good buddy.
So that should be good. We will be recording again at a later date next week. We'll be recording on Sunday for one more week. So for those of you in Europe, you can tune in at a time that's not quite so in the middle of the night. And we may be back on Twitch, or we may be back on YouTube. Uncertain.
There was some unpleasantness.
Yeah, but feel free to subscribe to our Twitch channel at Amigos Podcast. That's where we always stream all of our shows when we are on Twitch. And Aaron, before we go, do you want to talk a little bit about what's been going on the old YouTube channel?
Sure, man. Let's go ahead and do it. You just remembered that, didn't you?
I did.
I love it. Well, we had a pretty interesting week, and you did some. Let's go ahead and just start from the top since you just did it.
So
tell us what you did.
Yeah, last night, as part of the big deal that went down to get a big stack of Amigas, we also got a Silicon Graphics workstation and a couple old Macs. So I decided to bust out one of these G3s from the closet and see if it worked, what was inside of it, kind of put it through its paces. The G3 is the first Power Mac that was released after Steve Jobs' triumphant return, and it boasts a very clever case design in which you basically undo a latch and the whole motherboard just folds down, which makes it great to film because everything's right there in front of you. So what I do is I take out all the RAM. This thing's got 640 megabytes of RAM in it.
Does this thing have a Rage ATI card?
It does. It's got a 128 meg Rage ATI card.
That was the official card.
Yeah, absolutely. It was the stock card. This thing also came with a SCSI card installed, which I thought was kind of neat.
Oh, the drive's IDE in it?
The drives are IDE.
Maybe he had a scanner or something hooked up.
Yeah, there were 2 drives in this thing, a 12 gig, which was the primary drive, and then a 40 gig backup or a content drive, I guess.
Fancy.
And I have not looked to see the content of those drives, but I will, and I will be back with a new episode of this series. It's a lot of fun to get in there with some compressed air and a toothbrush and scrub everything down and make everything.
How come
cool.
you're not wearing patented retro man cave black burglar gloves?
That's true. I need to
steal his gimmick.
I need to inquire about where he gets those gloves from.
Also, you didn't recap this board.
That's true.
I don't see that happening, is it, bud?
No.
One thing we recaps our heads after we take our hats off.
That's right. But if you're at all interested, it's under the Taze Valley Classic Computer Club moniker because it did go down on a Saturday night.
I find this humorous and amazing. It's when you badmouth my efforts of doing computer repair at the classic gaming club, computer club.
I did it to honor your memory.
Thank you. I'm not dead.
Oh. Well, jury's still out on that.
Yeah.
Next, Aaron.
How was this, Bo?
The big news in the ZX Spectrum community was last week a new version of Bruce Lee was released. This is not a new game. This is a sort of a facelift where the sprites were redrawn with much more detail.
Yeah, they were.
If you recall, our first episode of Our Sinclair was Bruce Lee, episode 1. This is, on the face of it, it looks better. It's the same game underneath, but I did enjoy the fact that the green Yamo is now green.
Yeah,
as a big improvement.
This looks top shelf to me.
And of course, I could play Bruce Lee anytime, anywhere.
Was this the first game we did on the
Sinclair
show?
Yeah.
So, and I saw that actually the author had chimed in, or the guy that did the work.
He commented on the video, and
very good. I love that.
I play and I don't get too far, but I have a good time.
I can see that. I'm watching your gameplay here. Bruce Lee looks like he's had a rough night.
So anyway, there's that. Let's see what else we've got going on the old channel. Chris Folds puts up this is a new PD game.
PD's come a long way, hasn't it,
it's got none of the things that this ad just showed. But this is a racing game called Max Downforce. And Chris Folds lays down some commentary why he plays it. It looks very good. Runs very fast. I'm a big fan of any kind of behind-the-back racing game in the grand pole position Lotus tradition.
This has a real nutty art style. I mean, really, it looks smooth but basic. It's real. This is the thing now, right? Mm-hmm. These sorts of games. But I mean, it looks real good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's funny though. This looks much more remedial than the Amstrad game coming out from the Batman group.
It does.
But yeah, this looks like sort of like a turbo or a or a pole positioning type game. I like the tunnels. I have to give this a whirl.
Yeah.
PD, that's unbelievable. That right there is
PD's alive and well in 2019.
I loves it, man.
All right, and obviously because of technical difficulties, we can talk about ARG from last week. Last week, Aaron. Oh, jeez, I hate this. I get so confused. I wish that they just put all your videos on your channel page.
Yeah, you know how it goes, but.
Talk to me about the Amstrad on ARG, Aaron.
Oh, man. We sort of touched on this earlier. Me and the Brent, it was chat choice this week. You know the chat. They're choosing the good stuff. And this time around, they chose that we would once again have a go at the Amstrad. Now, Brent wasn't on when we played the Amstrad the first time, but
right.
And do you remember what we played on the Amstrad? Did we play Chucky Egg? Was that the Amstrad game?
No, I think that was on the Beeb. I can't remember what we did on the CPC.
I can't remember, but this time around we did. Brent picked Roland Goes Digging. So hopefully the Roland people don't come calling because they had a bunch of games.
Yeah.
And then we also did, because I couldn't pass this opportunity up, and the timing was perfect. So I did I took a look at the new Pinball Dreams from the Batman group, and guess what? It's the bomb. The bomb, I tell you. All the hype you've heard, it's well founded. This thing ran like a dream. In fact, in some ways, since there was less scrolling, it was actually a little bit easier to line. I found it a little bit easier to line my shots up. One thing I liked about the original Pinball Dreams, and we both agreed on this, is that the display in that, the DMD, took up less space than the ones that came after it, and so you had more screen real estate.
Right.
And it holds true. The lower resolution, this means you're not going to get the wording on the pinball table itself is abbreviated. But aside from, of course you're at a lower res, but aside from that, it looks and plays great.
And I'm with you. My favorite of the pinball series from these guys are Pinball Dreams, just because of the alphanumeric versus the DMD display.
Yeah, I like the DMD. It's awesome, but it's just that real estate it takes up.
Yeah.
It's funny, that little extra that maybe, and we're in the minority on that boat. I will say I did not enjoy Beatbox as much as I did on the Amiga version of this, but they did a good job of getting these pinball machines up and running and looking sharp and playing great.
Absolutely.
So if you want to see what we thought about the Pinball Dreams Amstrad version, pop one over and check out ARG. And I will say this week, since it's Sunday, I will be posting our new ARG. And this week we looked at movie games, and we took a look at Ghostbusters for the Sega Master System, and my brother chose Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure on the C64. So we're going way back to try some of these nutty games. And so we'll be having that. By the time you hear this, it'll be out.
Cool. All right, Aaron. Well, that's going to do it for this week's show. We'll see you next week with Apocalypse. Until then, adios. All right.
Time for your usual post-fancy water bathroom jaunt.
You got it, man. You can read me like a book.
Also,
you see this? Restocked.
Oh, beautiful, man. I brought my own today, too.
That was your first mistake.
I know. I'm glad you dressed up, Boat.
Thank you.
House shoes and PJs.
Hey, that's how I roll.
This is the way the newscasters must be. They just dress the top up. Has anyone in here